Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. For those of you who have not been to this channel before, my name is Raquel, and I'm hopping on. This is not a tarot reading, this is not a tarot lesson. I just want to address the fact that today is August 30th, and we have a super new moon in Virgo. And what this means for us as a collective, we are going to be reevaluating our lives. We're going to be paying more attention to our health and our wealth. We're going to be paying attention to what's in our environment that bogs us down, and what we should keep. We're going to be cleaning house. Maybe some of you are going on mad cleaning sprees, kind of like a spring cleaning spree, even though it's not spring. We're going to be taking care of our business, like reprioritizing contracts, everything like that. Everything's getting a reboot. We're cleaning out our computers. This is the energy that this super new moon is giving us. And the reason why we are in that energy is because we are moving on to a brand new cycle of our lives. This is a this is a super new moon. So all those other new moons, you had a little bit of change, a little bit of change, a little bit of change. You're changing your cycle. It's a new beginning, a little bit of change, a little bit of change. But you're not seeing, some of you might not be seeing the rewards from it. Well, this super new moon is ushering in a new cycle for the world. So that you will start to be seeing how all your changes up until this point that you've made with yourself and in your relationships and in your environment, you'll begin to see how much you have changed. A lot of us are going to be enlightened. A lot of us are going to have clarity on what it is we need to be happier, healthier selves. All right? The reason why, and this is going to sound very kooky and off the wall, but the reason why we are here right now, in this existence and this time, is because the world is full of negativity. Just full of negativity. All right? We as a collective, we signed up to come here to change that negativity, to awaken, to spiritually awaken, to put ourselves on higher vibes. So then that way we can help heal this world that has gone to shit. Okay? And I know that sounds kooky. All right? Kooky tarot reader over here. But think about it. How many synchronicities have you seen lately? How many signs, or how many times has something spoke to you from your gut and it's come true? How many times have you known something? You just knew it and it came true. It's because the world needs to have its vibration raised, so it needs more people that are spiritually awoke to raise their vibrations, or that are awakening to raise their vibrations, so then that other people can raise their vibrations. It can spark. It's like a chain reaction. You put one person in the front and they're like, oh, and they fall back and then, oh. But then when you get up, it's like, I don't know. That's probably a bad analogy. But anyway, it's a chain reaction. One person starts it, then it spreads to another person. Then it's like an epidemic, but a good epidemic. So I guess I couldn't even call it an epidemic. But if you think I'm weird, all right, let's just establish that I'm weird. All right, that's the logical mind thinking right there. All right, I got a story for you. Now, this came to me because I was meditating last night and I fell asleep. And I had a profound dream, but I forgot it. This morning, when I woke up, I said, you know what? I'm going to meditate. Well, I usually meditate before I do my tarot videos, but for the fact that it's the super new moon, I was like, you know what? I kind of need to meditate. So I meditated. And this story that I must have dreamed about last night just unfolded in my head. And I don't know if other people have told this story. I don't know if it's been in a book somewhere, but I feel the important necessity, urge to share it with you. So this is not a reading. This is not a tarot lesson. This is just me sharing a bit of knowledge of a story that came to me out of the blue. All right. So we have this character, this guy. We'll call him Gus. Anyways, the title of the story is Spiritual versus Logic. So spiritual versus logic, okay? This guy, Gus, he's had a hard life. I mean, just one thing after another, after another, after another, after another. What happens? He ends up getting thrown in prison. Okay? But this is like one of those little prison, it's like almost like a shack, but not really a shack out in the woods, okay? It has one door and one guard that goes in front of it. All right? Inside the shack, there's no windows. There's only a bed. There's a wardrobe and a bookshelf. That's it. That's it. Okay? He's there for days, maybe weeks. No, actually, I think he's there for decades. For decades. All right? And something in him, he just knows there's a way out, but he's tried. He's looked everywhere, all over that shack, and can't find a way out. Something in him tells him there's a way out. And he's looking and he's looking and he's looking, but he's finally given up hope. Because from what he can see of his tangible mind, and from all the searching he's done, there's only a bed, a wardrobe, and a bookshelf. Oh, and the door that's locked that he can't get out of. One day, that door opens, and he's about to book it, but a man is shoved in, and the door is slammed behind the man, and it's locked again. This man, we'll call him Steve. This man's name is Steve. Okay? So, Steve is looking around, and he's like, oh, man, I'm here again. And then Gus looks at him, and Gus says to Steve, I thought this was where they threw the people that had to be in jail for the rest of their lives. And he's like, oh no, I was here, I escaped. And Gus looks at him and he's like, what do you mean you escaped? And Steve goes, hold on. Oh. Steve goes, there's an escape door. Gus starts laughing. He's like, no, there's not. I've been all over this place. I have not seen one escape door anywhere. Sorry, my husband called. Where was I? Okay. So, he's like, no, you're crazy. I've looked everywhere. There is no door here. Absolutely none. I've been searching it for decades. No door. Because his logical mind says there's no door. His eyes can see there's no door. There's no trap door anywhere. So Steve just looks at him like he's an idiot. Well, maybe he doesn't look at him like he's an idiot. He just looks at him with, like, pity, like, man, didn't you? And Steve, in Steve's head, Steve is thinking, how come this guy can't use a broader perspective? Why can't he see things with a broader perspective? So Steve starts feeling sorry for this guy. Because when Steve came through that door, Steve was ready to spend the rest of his life in that prison. Even though Steve knew there was an escape hatch. He was ready to spend the rest of his life in that prison. Okay? So what happens is, Steve goes over to the wardrobe. Gus looks at him, starts laughing. He's like, that guy's an idiot. That guy's an idiot. What's he doing? Thinks he's in some Narnia crap where you can lie in witch in your wardrobe your way out of here, right? Steve goes into the wardrobe, puts out his hand, tells Gus to come here. Gus looks at him, and for a second his eyes are big. He's like got hope for a minute, but then it shuts down. And because see, Gus always knew that there was a way out of that room. He just couldn't see the way out of that room. Okay? So Steve reaches down his hand and he's like, well, do you want to stay here or do you want to go? So this really gets Gus thinking about it, and he's like, no, I want to go. If he's got a way out, I'm gonna take that. He goes in there, and Steve reveals a little trap door that's above the wardrobe. A little trap door. He's like, come on, let's go. Up, 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 on the roof. They get up on the roof, and they're sitting there, and Gus is like, oh my God, he hadn't seen the world in decades. And he's looking at these vast, vast, vast mountains and stuff. And he's like, I can't believe it. He's like, I always knew that there was a way out. And Steve said, yeah, there is. There's big possibilities here. And then Gus said, well, if there's a world of endless possibilities, why did you get thrown back in? You know what Steve said? I'm tired of the of the endless possibilities. I'm tired of the negativity. So I wanted to go hermit. And then Gus said, well, hold on. I wrote it down. He goes, well, then why did you open that door and have us escape? And Steve said, because I got tired of listening to your negativity and to your narrow thinking. And you see the little guard down there. They look down, they see the little guard walking around. He notices them up there, but he can't reach them. I think this is like medieval times when this happened, but he like looks up there and he can't reach them. The reason why the guard can't reach them is because the guard is on a lower plane and they're on a higher plane. Why? Because Steve helped Gus shift his perspective. Gus didn't want to believe in intuition. Didn't want to believe that there was a way out of his own mental hell. But Steve, who had already been there and escaped and been awoke and got tired and needed to retreat for a minute, just being in Steve's presence, because Steve was Mr. Optimistic, just being in Steve's presence, Steve helped him out. And that's what this is about. This is about the world needing to come to that state. Okay? This is about people needing to be woke. So, yeah, you might think I'm crazy. But if you take that shack as your mind, and you see Gus is the ego. Gus is the guy that sits there and says, you have to have a logical explanation for everything. Everything that you see is real. When people tell you something's there and it's not, that's not real. But see, Steve is your soul. Steve represents the soul. And the soul comes through that door and helps the ego out. So in order to be spiritually enlightened or spiritually awake, you have to let go of that ego self. You got to shut that ego self up and let your soul self take over. I don't know if that helped solve the debate in spiritual awakening. I don't know if that helped you understand spiritual awakening a little bit more. But when they went through that wardrobe and they went up onto the roof, they were on a higher level of consciousness, okay? They were on a higher level of consciousness, and they were happy. They were happy they were not stuck in that room, and they had the vast world in front of them. The guard, however, is flipping out underneath of them because he can't get up there. Why can't he get up there? Because he can't shift his level of consciousness either. Because he can't understand how two people that were locked in a shack can end up on the roof when the shack has no doors and no windows. See, it's all about shifting your perspective. Well, I hope that helped you. And please leave a comment. Tell me what you thought about my story. I might have butchered it a little bit. Like I said, I dreamt about it, and I'm pretty sure it was medieval times. So that this bit of information came from. I'm not sure if I read it in a book somewhere or if I just downloaded it in my brain. But let me know if it helped you or if it helped you understand it a little bit more. It's not about magic. It's not about anything like that. It's about science. It's about science. And back in the day when people were really good thinkers, back in the day when people when science was just, before science came out, there were wizards and witches, they called them, because they were people who understood what we understand now. It's all scientifical. There's nothing magic about it. It's just the way our world works and the way our universe works. When I'm reading tarot, I tap in to a higher frequency. I tap into higher energy because there's energy all around you. If you want to be woke, that's what I'm saying. It is a lot peaceful. You're more positive. You're on a higher vibration. And yeah, there's always going to be negative in your life. But if you kill that negative with positive, like Gus was all negative, all over the place in that story. All negative in the beginning. But Gus was positive. He's like, no, man, I know. There's, And he even got Gus thinking. He was like, Gus knew, or Gus, from what Gus could see, there was no way out. There was no way out. But Steve was so positive and so sure, it got Gus second guessing it. And that's what's happening right now. A lot of people are spiritually awakening. And because they are, it's catching and it's affecting others. Let me know what you think in the comments.